Hi all and thanks for being with me. Now, Dutton has decided that if he wins power, and let's hope the moron, the potato head, doesn't, but if he does, he's going to revoke the law with regard to the right to disconnect. Now, this was a law that was brought into Parliament a couple of weeks ago, and it was designed to deal with those employers who are abusing their right to employ people whenever they think that they need to be at work, not when the employee thinks that he or she needs to be at work, but whenever the employer does. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever worked for an employer who's just unreasonable around some of these issues, and I suspect there aren't all that many. It's not like all employers work that way or all employers need to work that way. Often people work their shift and they leave and then that's it. But there are certain employers out there who think that they have the power and the authority to be able to demand when people attend work. Now, they often forget that these people, like themselves, need to spend time with their family and need recreational time and need to spend time just enjoying themselves. Well, Peter Dutton doesn't think that that's appropriate. That clearly he has received some pressure from the lobby groups, particularly the Employees Chamber of Commerce, perhaps, in relation to this particular issue, and feels that it's necessary to be able to revoke this legislation if he ever wins power. Hopefully that will not happen. However, it tells us more about Potato Head than it does anything else. And that is that he's not prepared to listen to what is appropriate, what is fair, and what is reasonable for those people that are employed by unreasonable employers. And so he says in this particular statement, Peter Dutton commits to repealing rights to disconnect laws if coalition wins government. He says opposition leader Peter Dutton has sworn to repeal laws that will give workers the right to ignore unreasonable out-of-hours communication from the bosses if the coalition win the next election. Mr Dutton says even corrected, that is, they discovered that the law needed some changes to be made, and the Labor Party have since made those changes. The laws will be damaging to relations between employers and employees and make the task of restarting productivity growth even more difficult. Asked on Sky News if his party would repeal the right to disconnect if it won government, Mr Dutton responded with an emphatic, yes, we will. And he does that just because he is against everything that the Labor Party puts forward. And now, in this particular instance, I think this is where we see Peter Dutton for what he really is, which is a man who lacks empathy, who is simply going to do whatever he can to abolish whatever he sees the Labor Party doing, no matter how good, no matter how well-meaning, no matter how tight in some cases that legislation might be. He is still going to do what he can to undo it because the man is a moron. And he has this thing, I think, that says that most of the people that vote for him, or the people he wants to vote for him, are people who, like himself, don't have any empathy or understanding what the circumstances may mean to others. If you are an employee and you are put upon by your employer and it affects your relationship with your partner and with your children, and that people get upset because you called into work when you didn't need to be there, and you make a decision, though, to turn off your phone or not answer it when the boss or the company calls you, and you get penalised for that. In other words, they take away perhaps your next shift. They demote you. They say things to you that are inappropriate and hurtful. And if you don't have any recourse around any of that, you are the one who is powerless in that situation. And I believe that situation needs to be rectified. The people need to have the power or the authority to be able to say, no, I'm not going to respond to your call. I'm not going to go into work when you ask me to because I've got this weekend plan and I'm going to spend it with my kids, or I've got a show that I'm going to go to see, or I've got a football match that I need to go to with my kids, or whatever. Then you have the right to be able to make those decisions about how you want your life to be. But for Peter Dutton, the moron of all morons, no, he doesn't see that as reasonable. And even though this legislation was presented by the Greens, and the Greens and the Labor Party got together to formulate this legislation, it is good legislation. It's not groundbreaking, it's not world-shattering, it's not changing the climate, it's not doing anything that's outstanding, apart from standing up for the workers and the workers' rights to have their time to do whatever they need to do when they're not at work. It is just that simple. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Most of you will probably disagree with me, which is fine because many of you do. I don't give a shit. Go for it. But please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell for further notifications. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves and be safe.